And welcome back to the European Soccer Show. Tess returns, and with me, as ever, is the far better and more handsome Léo Aschi. How are you?
I'm pretty good, thanks. It has been a quite good weekend of football. So,
Mm.
what could
We
be
were-
wrong
we
today?
we were just discussing that it's an interesting week of football, but not necessarily in France. But hope everyone's had a lovely week. All of those that will be joining us live as well as listening afterwards. Yes, we are going to be talking about the top five European leagues, weekend fixtures, and hopefully we're recording an episode later in the week to look at all of the actual European games. It gets confusing when you say European games. What do you mean, like the Champions League, Europa League, etc., etc. But let's kick things off today. We had some fixtures last night for both the Premier League and Serie A. So let's start with Serie A. Italia. Here we go. So, looking at the Italian results, we still have two undefeated sides, but one team is no longer. Because Napoli, the big result of the weekend, Napoli losing 2-1 at AC Milan, a very impressive result there. But earlier in the week, you do have the undefeated Cremonese, drew 1-1 at Como, which is a very impressive result. Likewise, Atalanta have remained undefeated. They drew 1-1 at Juventus. Juventus stuttering a bit after an intense couple of weeks. But Inter's form seems to be returning to usual as they won 2-0 at Cagliari. Elsewhere, you had Sassuolo beating Udinese 3-1. You had the classic 0-0 between Pisa and Fiorentina, already a relegation battle there between those two. Roma's excellent start to the season continues with a 2-0 victory over Hellas Verona. Excellent match between Lecce and Bologna, finishing 2-2. And just last night, Parma defeated Torino. Parma squeezing away from the relegation zone, winning 2-1. Torino being dragged right into trouble. And a bit of respite for Lazio, who've had a terrible start to the season, but they beat Genoa 3-0 at Genoa as well. So let's start with the big talking point of the weekend, which was, I suppose, Napoli, the defending champions. Napoli finally losing again this season in domestically. AC Milan 2, Napoli 1. Goals from Saelmakers and Pulisic before half time. And then Estupinian was sent off after about an hour and had to, obviously, AC Milan had to face over half an hour with down to 10 men against the champions. De Bruyne dispatched the penalty, but Napoli couldn't quite eke out the draw or result afterwards. Impressive result for AC Milan, who seem to be rebuilding after what was essentially one bad result at the start of the season.
It's impressive. Now they are top of the league, ahead of Napoli, thanks to the victory. I want to point out the goal. I think you saw it from Christian Pulisic, which was really beautiful in collective terms, because we saw the all the action going on. Christian Pulisic is today 3 goals with AC Milan, so he's having a sensational start to the season. As you said, Kevin De Bruyne scored for Napoli on penalty, and he looked like kind of hungry after having been substituted during the second half. So it's not the first time for him to that he seems pissed off after being substituted with Napoli. But yeah, I think he has to understand that he's getting older. This kind of games, maybe he can't play them for 90 minutes if we just talk about physicality, because when he was at Manchester City last year and the last season, we saw that he struggled when intensity got higher, and so maybe it's one of the reasons why he doesn't finish all the games anymore. But it's something he will have to deal with his coach, because I think it can bring problem with at Napoli.
Mm. Well, there's this slight tactical shift from last year because obviously having players like De Bruyne, there's you're sort of forcing them into a midfield without any natural width. So that's been a struggle for Napoli at the start of the season because I seem to remember with Gutierrez sometimes not playing, you don't have a left footer on the left. You have a right wing back that's what comes inside, and you have wide midfielders that come inside. So a very very tight midfield for Napoli. AC Milan, do you think Christian Pulisic gets the recognition he deserves? Because a couple of years ago we'd be saying it would be Rafael Leao who would be sort of carrying AC Milan, be the spark that helps them win games, so they'd be defensively solid, and he'd be the reason they win. But Christian Pulisic seems to be, for quite a while, certainly last season, seems to be that if he plays well, AC Milan play well.
Yeah, but I do think that Joe Felix, sorry, Leao is a better player than Pulisic, but Pulisic is embracing a very good form at the moment, as you said. But I don't know if you saw the image when Rafael Leao went on the left wing and all the Napoli squad went back to their defensive action, and it was quite impressive. And I think it shows the danger Leo inspires to his opponents. And I don't think it's something Pulisic have yet, because Leo is a top player. But yeah, when Pulisic is okay, I think it's a formidable asset for your team.
Well, certainly creatively seems to be the creative, the difference maker currently in AC Milan. But I should say AC Milan are currently top of Serie A on 12 points, along with Napoli and Roma. Roma beating Hellas Verona 2-0 with goals from Dovbyk and Sule. Are Roma secretly one of the title contenders? Because they weren't given much. I mean, they had an excellent end to the last season, mostly due to Claudio Ranieri performing miracles, but they seem to have started the season really, really well and defensively almost perfect.
Yeah, it's a good thing for them if they want to compete for the title to have that start to the season. It has not always been the case.
Sorry, just interrupt, but also it's not something that you associate with Gasperini. Because I think one of the reasons why people are so excited about Gasperini going from Atalanta to Roma, because Roma have had quite a defensive setup for quite a while, having an attacking-minded coach who plays an incredibly exciting brand of football. I suppose there was this idea of, oh great, a change of identity, but it doesn't seem to have gone that way. Yeah, he seems to have gone defense first, and then perhaps as he's getting more used to his squad, it'll get more expressive. But have you also been? So I suppose the question is, have you been surprised that Roma's successful? Also, have you been surprised at Gasperini's success?
I'm not really surprised by Gasperini's success because of what he has been doing with he has done with Atalanta this last years. It's an incredible work. I saw them against Nice in the Europa League last week. Okay, Nice are a struggling team so far, but yeah, Roma seemed very calm on the ball. They were really impressing in every aspect of the game. And when you just saw look at the results, you can see that they just conceded 2 goals so far. So in 5 or 6 games, I think. They don't score a lot. I think that Verona win 2-0 is the best for them since the start of the season. But they are defensively really strong, and they just score the important goals to win games. So it's a really good start. They are 12 points, the same as Milan and Napoli. So quite impressive, and I think their squad isn't better than the two firsts, but yeah, it's a good thing, and Gasperini looks to find his marks in Roma.
So going further down the table, so you got Juventus in fourth on 11 points, and they drew 1-1 with Atalanta, with goals from Sulemana for Atalanta and Cabal for Juve. Slight concern for Bremner. I don't know if you saw, but him being substituted in the second half with another potential injury worry. It does feel like because obviously he was out for such a while with a significant injury. The hope is that obviously any injury for Juventus for Bremner, Juventus immediately struggle because he is that important for them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We only can be concerned because of his passive injury that left out of the squad for almost a season. So, yeah, and when he's on the pitch, he's the best defender for Juve. He's the Juve's best defender. I think one of the very best in the league. So, of course, being able to count on him in Serie A will be a key point for Tudor this season. So I hope for him and for them that he's not injured for a long time.
Actually, I think so. We've been looking at the top of the table, and it's also, again, we've been saying for a while that Serie A is one of the more entertaining leagues because of all the different winners they've had, all the different European teams they've had. And this year alone, you've got 3 points. I mean, it's early days, but you've got 3 points separating the top 7. And that includes AC Milan, Napoli, Roma, Juve, Inter, Atalanta, and of course, Cremonese. So it's going to be a fun title race, it looks like. And as well, considering AC Milan have no European football for the first time in God knows how long. Sort of like can concentrate and could pull something. The other side of the table, though, I mean, there are some teams that you expect, like Lecce, Pisa, Genoa, Verona. But I wanted to ask you about Fiorentina and Torino because Torino have had a couple of heavy defeats. We spoke about this last time. They had the worst goal difference in Serie A, and they only sit 2 points above the relegation zone, and Fiorentina is only 1 point. We also mentioned Lazio last time. Lazio had a bad time, but they've recovered. They beat Genoa 3-0 last night. Gives them a bit of breathing space, and also just, again, get a couple of wins under your belt, and suddenly an early start to the season like this seems fine. But this is concerning for Fiorentina and Torino. Would you legitimately consider them in this relegation discussion, or do you think this is just a bad start to the season and they are just too strong compared to the other teams?
I'm more concerned about Torino than Fiorentina regarding their squad and their ability to perform at the highest level. But the thing is, for Torino, they have played top teams of the league with Inter, with Roma, with Atalanta. They beat Roma in the third round, but the bad thing for them is that they just took 1 point from their 2 games against relegation candidates as Fiorentina. They did a 0-0 and they lost to Parma this weekend. So when you can't win and when you can't expect to be in the top of your division, you need to be able to win against the weaker team. And when you can't do it against those ones, it becomes really complicated to have ambitions in the league. So yeah, they will need to win their next matches, and they will play Lazio, Genoa, Bologna, Pisa just on this October month. So they will need to have points because they will also welcome Napoli at home, and it will be quite difficult to have points.
So essentially targeting the next 4 games as you need a certain number of points in this, because again, if you don't get points against Genoa, against Pisa, the teams that are in the relegation zone are expected to be near the relegation, then we're legitimately talking about them being in trouble.
Yeah, that's it. And for Fiorentina, I think their depth squad is maybe better, but we have to note that for their last 4 games, they haven't won one game in Serie A yet. So they will have to start and quickly start the season, because when you just have 3 points after 5 match days, it's really complicated to with Europa League, Conference League football, because we don't have to forget that they will play one game more than Torino for at least 6 games. So yeah, they should start to win something, because it will be very quickly complicated for them.
A lot of comparisons with Nottingham Forest in the Premier League, who have started the season quite poorly and now have Europe coming up. But before we go there, let's go to somewhere else. We're going to go to Ligue 1, all the way to Ligue 1. So we're going to pass over Sunday because we had 5 goals in 5 games. We'll just mention them. But actually, the Ligue 1 started quite interesting. So you had quite a good clash between Strasbourg and Marseille on Friday night. Strasbourg 1, Marseille 2. A late goal by Murillo, winning it in stoppage time for Marseille. Monaco, very confusing side, get some good results, but also lose surprisingly. They lost at Lorient, previously struggling in the relegation zone, I think, at the time. Lorient 3, Monaco 1, although they did have Kera sent off for a second yellow card in the first half. But I suppose good news that Ansu Fati has scored yet again.
So his 4th goal in 3 games now.
Yeah, so that's great news for him. Moving on, we got Toulouse 2, Nantes 2, and then of course Paris Saint-Germain got their regular 2-0 victory against Auxerre with goals from Zibani and Beraldo either side of half time. And let's talk about Sunday quickly. So Nice and Paris FC drew 1-1, which is very Nice. Angers lost 2-0 at home to Brest, double there for Brest. Lille, this was another interesting clash between Lille and Lyon, 2 teams vying for Champions League football. Lille 0, Lyon 1, Metz 0, Le Havre 0, and 0-0 between Rennes and Lens. So lots of nils, lots of clean sheets. But let's start for Friday night. So Strasbourg and Marseille, or as we discussed last week as well, Chelsea's future B-side, or Marseille. Excellent victory for Marseille, who seem to have had a bit of solidity after a chaotic start to the season.
Yeah, it was excellent, because they have won against PSG on Monday. Now they get a victory over Strasbourg, which is one of the standout teams in France, with all we talked about the Blueco investments and everything. For Marseille, which is interesting, it's for better or worse. You never get bored watching them. It's a team very entertaining, because they are talented players, very talented coach at their head. Winning at Strasbourg isn't the easiest thing to do. A lot of big teams will fall at La Meno. The thing is that we can point out the fact that there will be a problem at Marseille with Leonardo Balerdi, because once again he has committed a mistake of concentration. So he will need to focus more of his game, because he is the captain. He's the key defender at the moment, despite the fact that Marseille recruited Naïef Aguerd and Benjamin Pavard this summer. He will need absolutely.
Sorry, just quick. No, that was a huge. We sort of let that slide by when we talk about our transfer window show. Pavard to Marseille was a huge transfer.
Yeah, that's a huge. I think it was just for 15 millions. So we are talking about an experienced player.
Sorry, but you were talking about Marseille's defense and Beraldi's.
Yeah, Marseille defense, especially Balerdi, because I think with Aguerd and Pavard it would be better, but Balerdi needs to focus more. We can just have a word on Mamadou Sarr, who is loaned out by Chelsea to Strasbourg. He's next once again,
Sorry, just
once
check the
more.
list.
Yeah,
Yeah. He's
he's
loaned out. He wasn't the player that was bought and then sold straight back to them and then loaned somewhere.
yeah, that's it. He was trained at Lyon, but he's an exceptional defender. At only 20, I think, he's already one of the best central center back in Ligue 1. He's physically imposing. Um, it's impossible to win one-on-one against him. Chelsea has made a superb deal with him. So
Well, you know,
yeah,
if you throw that much at the wall, something's bound to stick.
yeah, of course. But yeah,
Of the
it's
1,700 players that they purchased in these last 4 years.
just a word for our Chelsea fans. You have a great player with Mamadou Sarr.
Well, they actually
Um,
might need him soon, considering how many of their players are getting suspended in those terms.
yeah,
But more on the Premier League shortly. Let's I mentioned quickly Monaco. Monaco, despite currently the top of the table, you got Paris Saint-Germain and Lyon on 15 points, with Paris Saint-Germain head on goal difference. Then you got Marseille, Monaco, and Strasbourg all on 12. Which again, it's exciting to have. May not turn out to be a title race with 5 teams, but certainly this challenge for European football is bound to be quite interesting and exciting. But Monaco have suffered quite a strange number of the strange defeats, rather than a strange number of defeats, both here and in Europe. Why did that happen? I mean, was it just the red cards in the first half? Because of course that does change a lot.
As I told you last week, I think Monaco's results in Ligue 1 are quite are some kind of a fool because, as you said, there are 12 points, but they are really bad. I think this loss to Lorient.
Do you think this position Monaco are in is a false position? Do you think that?
Yeah, maybe not
slightly misleading.
Yeah, maybe not a false position because Liga is weak. So with their squad and with their strength, they will win. They should win those games. But losing to a previous League Two team, for them, it's unacceptable. And I think it was maybe the last or the penal. I think Adi Uter will be fired in the next weeks, if not this week, because he's been at Monaco now for 2.5 years, and we don't understand what he tries to do. We talked about their summer transfer window last week, which was really and you can't understand what they are trying to do, Monaco, and when you don't understand, you can see it on the pitch, and yeah, it was difficult, and I think Adiuter time is over now.
Well, I'll tell you what, right before the end, we'll come back to, because I was going to ask you about managerial threat, because after next week's fixtures is the international break, of course, and that's usually a time where a team might get rid of their coach because it gives them a sort of 10-day reset for the players that aren't wearing international duty. Elsewhere in League, I mean, quick word on Paris Saint-Germain. That was just a irregular run-of-the-mill.
Yeah, regular one.
Right? Just job done, tick.
Yeah, it was a regular one. 2-0 against 2-0 against Auxerre. Luis Enrique was forced to put on some young players from the academy because of all the injuries. You have to note that Kvaratskhelia will not be at the Montjuic tomorrow. He is left out of the squad because he picked up an injury during this game. So yeah, it was a just logical Paris victory.
So even though but possibly the most interesting match of the weekend was Lille 0, Lyon 1. Tyler Morton getting the only goal in the game. This was first of all, this was quite an impressive victory by Lyon, because Lille are one of the sides sort of pushing for those European places and have had some really good results this year already. Although there's also concern because that's now back-to-back defeats for Lille in the league.
Yeah. The thing is that they lost 3-0 to Lens, which is their biggest rival in the league. So they needed a win against Lyon to try to reset
Yeah.
the thing. And to be honest, it's real robbery from Lyon to have win this game.
Yeah.
Not a robbery, but you know, Lille had a lot of chances. Really, they dominated the game quite exclusively. Lyon just scored on their first and maybe only occasion on the first half. But we have to note that their defensive last season Lyon had have defensive problems. They conceded 46 goals. So for a team which ambitions is to play Champions League football, is it's too much
Well,
in a league
well, I was going
France.
to ask this. Considering Lyon are very possibly fortunate to be in the league, but certainly fortunate to be in the Europa League. Do you think Lyon are going to take the Europa League seriously, considering the start of the season they've had? Do you think they perhaps will? It's heavy rotation and assume they get through to the next stage of the Europa League.
Yeah, I think they will because it's in their DNA. It's the team the club in France that have played the most European football this last 30 years. So yeah, they will play, even if it will be difficult because of the lack of depth on the squad. But I'm sure they will play the Europa League as they can win it. We have to note just that now it has been 7 games that the season started for them, and they haven't conceded a single goal when they played like a normal game, 11 versus 11, because the three they conceded against Rennes, they were 10 men down. So yeah, it's an impressive defensive display from Lyon.
Seems to be a common theme so far across the leagues.
Yeah.
Let's take a short trip over the over Andorra into La Liga.
Yeah.
So La Liga.
Oh, and I just have a quick note because we didn't talk about that, but Metz versus Le Havre was a milestone for Ligue 1 this season because it was the first 0-0 in the league after 6 match days and 53 games. So yeah, it was
Oh,
interesting.
that's the first 0-0 of the season.
Yeah, the first 0-0 of the
that's
season.
interesting.
So after 6 match days, it's
okay. We'll forgive a dull Sunday, considering it's been interesting.
Yeah.
So yes, La Liga. Espanyol missed the chance to go back into the Champions League places. Would you imagine saying that at the start of the year? As they drew 0-0 at lowly and winless Girona. Getafe drew 1-1 with Levante. Mallorca, a precious victory for Mallorca after a bad start to the season, 1-0 against Alaves. Villarreal's excellent start to the season continues, defeating Athletic Club 1-0 at home. Of course, the big talk about which we'll immediately talk about just after I say the results. Atletico Madrid 5, Real Madrid 2, an incredible Madrid derby. And Simeone, is he under pressure? Is he? Bleep that word out. Yeah, on the Sunday we had Rayo Vallecano 0, Sevilla on. No, that's not Spanish. Uno. Elche's superb start to the season continues, beating Celta Vigo 2-1 at home. Barcelona beating Real Sociedad 2-1 as well, and Real Betis to Osasuna 0. There's only one place to start: the Madrid derby.
Yeah.
That was an astonishing result, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think the thing that struck me the most about this game was the intensity put by the two teams. It didn't look like Real Madrid players went on the pitch to have a battle with the Atletico. It was shocking, and the first thing I saw about that game, we can also praise, for example, Julian Alvarez, incredible player, sensational free kick. He's not, and which is funny with him is that he isn't Atletico coded. He's not a player you could expect to play for a team like Atletico, even if Diego Simeone has changed his way of conceiving football this last 2 or 3 seasons with a more offensive football, more interesting, to be honest. But it's always funny to see a player like Julian Alvarez, which you could expect him to play maybe more at a club like Barcelona, to play at Atletico. But
A more sort of technically creative,
yeah,
technically and creative player.
yeah.
But he does have steel to him. He's Argentinian after all.
Yeah, but yeah, just to go back on the game, impressive display from Atletico. To be honest, I wasn't expecting that.
I think that's the big talking point, though, isn't it? Nobody was expecting it.
Yeah,
I suppose because Real have had. I mean, they've won every game this season, but also, they haven't been completely convincing in all of them. In most of them, in fact, they've just got the job done. It looks like they're building something. Whereas Simeone's looked like his was falling apart. Some really,
yeah,
really poor results, and yet it seemed to completely click for Atletico.
yeah.
What do you think the big difference was? Because it felt like. It's from you say like the intensity. You might have got this because it was the Madrid derby. But do you think it might have been because Atletico seemed to press much higher up the pitch and with a lot more aggression? Do you think that was the difference, or do you think Real's players were overwhelmed?
Yeah, I don't know if you followed it, but just after when Kylian Mbappe scored his goal at the 25th or 13th minute, I felt Atletico like they they were kind of sloppy after that. It's like he just put some cold in the stadium because it was their first offensive. I think it was the first shot, and maybe the first shot on target, and it was a goal from Kylian Mbappe. We know that he's quite cold since the start to the season, and from that moment, I thought Atletico were going to lose their momentum, but after the Charlotte's goal, and particularly in the second half, they like they boosted themselves, and yeah, the brace from Julian Alvarez in less than 10 minutes completely calmed down Madrid, and they were just hungrier. They wanted it more. Technically, I think they were better than Real Madrid, which who made a lot of mistakes. So it's a deserved victory, and the first in 75 years by 5 goals from Atletico.
Astonishing.
Yeah,
So also, I'm not sure if it was just because he conceded so many goals, but also felt like that was the first match I've ever watched Thibaut Courtois, and felt like he perhaps isn't as good as he used to be.
yeah,
There were a
yeah.
couple of moments, especially the penalty was quite a strange one. Alvarez he wasn't in the corner. It wasn't at a good height. So like essentially, it's one that you'd expect the goalkeeper to get near, and he just wasn't, which is just strange. But yes, looking at some other results. So let's go to the top of the table. Barcelona, a good 2-1 victory against Real Sociedad. Odriozola opening the scoring for Sociedad before goals from Koundé, set up by Marcus Rashford. Leveled it before the half, and then the second half, Lewandowski scored the winning goal. Barcelona just getting the job done, aren't they? Currently, sometimes they blow teams away, but sometimes they just do enough. They seem to be really ticking.
Yeah, when it was 1-1, something has changed the game. It was Lamine Yamal's comeback on the pitch. I think his assist came just 1 minute after his entrance. He just I saw him when he took the ball the first time. The Sociedad defender went like, "Oh no, not him!" It was he was like frightened about with this player, and that's why for me he's the best player because in the world, because the best player in the world is the one who inspire fear to his opponent, and it's exactly what I see from Yamal to his ones. And from this game, I just wanted to praise another time for Marcus Rashford, because is in astonishing form at the moment. For his last 5 games, he scored 2 in Newcastle and assisted 3. So he's starting to put up some interesting statistics, and even in the content of his games, it's interesting. He could have scored against Sociedad if Remiro hadn't have a great game. So yeah, I'm super happy for him to be back on track.
As are we all. Okay, so another quick couple of things. So obviously, top of the La Liga, we've got Barcelona on 19, Real Madrid on 18. Villarreal, excellent start to the season. They're on 16 in third place. Another solid win against Athletic Club. But in fourth place, can you guess who it is? Unless you have it in front of you.
Yeah.
It's the only other undefeated team in La Liga.
It's Elche. Elche.
Who saw this coming?
No, I don't think anyone saw it, and I don't watch.
And it has to be said that
games,
this is
to
not
be
by
honest,
accident. A couple of like lucky results, but most of the time they're playing good football.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't watch. I will not say I watch Elche every weekend, but when I just see highlights from the games and some actions, the thing is that they play football. They play really good football with passing. It's fluid. It's the technique. It's technically it's clean when we talk about technique. Yeah, it's interesting football, and I would like to say it's Spanish football. To be honest, it's the way we
Spanish light.
expect. Yeah, it's the way we expect Spanish teams to play, and so it's well deserved for them to be a fourth. I don't know how long it will last, but they need to
yes,
enjoy
actually,
it.
on that note, because again, we talk about Serie A having so many teams challenging for Europe and how fun it is, much like Ligue 1. But so looking at La Liga, after Villarreal in third place, fourth is Elche on 13, then you got Atletico Madrid, Real Betis, and Espanyol all on 12. So you would assume like the teams more used to that position, like Atletico and Real Betis, would sort of just pull away slightly. But even still, the fact that there is just a wonderful start to the season for them.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick look at the Bundesliga. We're going to concentrate on basically 2 matches and have a quick look at some of the other results. Just first of all, Heidenheim got their first points of the season with a victory 2-1 against Augsburg. St. Pauli lost 1-2 at home, or rather lost 2-1 at home against Leverkusen, who seem to be rebuilding slowly. Dortmund continuing their good start to the season, their unbeaten start to the season with a 2-0 victory away at Mainz. Leipzig, after their horrific start against Bayern, have won 4 on the trot. So Leipzig winning at Wolfsburg 1-0 with a goal through Bakayoko. You've also got Freiburg 1, Hoffenheim 1, Köln lost at home to Stuttgart 2-1, and Union Berlin 0, Hamburg 0. But the 2 big matches we're going to concentrate on. First of all, Bayern. Bayern on Friday night beat Werder Bremen 4-0. Not that astonishing on paper, but of course, what we need to talk about is Harry Kane. Harry Kane becomes the fastest player in the 21st century to reach 100 goals for his club, beating both Cristiano Ronaldo and Erling Haaland by a single game. He has scored 100 goals for Bayern in 104 matches. That is ridiculous. I suppose the thing we should also point out is that when Cristiano Ronaldo did it for Real Madrid, he was in his mid-20s. Haaland did it for Man City in his early 20s, and Kane is 31, I believe. So
yeah,
so it shows that its experience can be as potent as youthful vibrancy.
Yeah, and when you look at Kane playing, he doesn't seem to be 31. He's just an extraordinary player, because I don't want to reduce him to a striker position. He's just exceptional. Sometimes you can see him like a number 6 in the game, just in the build up, and then
his passing range and his vision is astonishing.
His long range passing is incredible, very incredible. I don't know what to say more about everything we
Yeah.
every week said about Harry Kane, because he just keeps scoring. He's 15 goals so far this season. They have just played 7 games, Bayern Munich. So yeah, it's just crazy, crazy, crazy. So
Also, I
bravo.
suppose, well, part of the reason I think I sort of talking about his all-round game is because one thing he's never really had is pace. So therefore, as he gets older and he gets slower, it feels like he's actually not going to lose that much because he never had it to begin with. So do you think he's the sort of player that actually could play for a quite considerably longer period of time? So hypothetically, if his contract ended at Bayern in 2.5 years' time, he would be 33 or so. You would imagine that he could actually go somewhere else, a top club, and still be their main striker. No,
I thought
depending on how
about
they
it.
play.
Yeah, I thought about it, and if I think the plan for Barcelona is to recruit Julian Alvarez, or at least for Joan Laporta with the elections, the election next year. But if I were him, why wouldn't I take Harry Kane for 2 or 3 seasons? Because we saw that with Lewandowski, it worked. I think they are much of the same caliber of strikers, not the same profile, but the same. They are top
Mm.
strikers. I think he could play at Barcelona, not only because it is Barcelona, but for the style of play they have. Kane would be cool and good, and then Barcelona go on Erling Haaland, because I think Erling Haaland is destined to play at Barcelona. I don't know why, but he's a player. I think he will end up at Barcelona.
Yeah,
So
but you think he's got to worry. Like God only knows what they have to sell in order to allow his wages, though. With
yeah, that's
Barcelona,
the
it's not the
problem.
transfer fee with Barcelona; it's the wage
Yeah,
restrictions. Okay, but that was so. Yeah, word on Harry Kane. Tick. But the other guy we wanted to mention, Borussia Mönchengladbach. What we hadn't mentioned was before last week. I don't think they'd scored a goal, so they scored their first goal last week in a draw, and that was their first point of the season. Borussia Mönchengladbach 4, Eintracht Frankfurt 6. If you haven't seen the highlights for this match, you know where to go. Go watch it. It's great fun. Frankfurt were 5-0 up at half time. They also scored in the second minute at the start of the second half. There were double substitutions after 38 minutes for Mönchengladbach. So yeah, 6-0 up after 47 minutes. And yet, Mönchengladbach almost pulled off the most unlikely and
yeah.
strangest comebacks. But also 10 goals, 9 different goal scorers. So just generally all round fun. I suppose, do you have anything to say of that match apart from its chaos?
Yeah, typical Bundesliga game. When someone watch Bundesliga, this is what they expect of the championship. But I don't know what is the more strange: the fact that Frankfurt scored 5 in the first half, of the fact that Gladbach scored 4 after having been trailed 6-0, and in
And
just
only scoring
like,
one goal in the whole
yeah,
season.
yeah, and scored 4 in 20 minutes. So
Yeah.
I don't know what is the strangest, but incredible game. That's why we love football, I think. Not
Mm.
We don't want tactic. We just want goals and chaos and everything. And yeah, we can just talk about Chan Uzun, who has scored and
Yeah.
assisted once
He's
again.
he's very young as well, isn't he? He's only
Yeah,
19.
he's 19. Yeah, 19. 6 goals, 4 assists in 7 games so far. So
They've got another one. They like
yeah,
Burkhardt and Uzun. Frankfurt are so good at recruiting
yeah,
young talent. So the Bundesliga, I mean, Borussia Mönchengladbach still at the foot of the table with 2 points behind Heidenheim and Augsburg. At the top, you've got Bayern on 15 points, undefeated. Dortmund, 13 points, undefeated. They've sort of gone under the radar about how good they've been as well. Leipzig, again, third with 12 points. They've rebuilt really well after a poor start. Frankfurt and Stuttgart on 9 each. Right, I suppose all that's left is to go to the Premier League. And then we'll have some managerial chat before the end. So in the Premier League, Man United's nightmare at Brentford revisited, remastered the second time. Brentford winning 3-1 against the Devils. Chelsea lost at home 3-1 to Brighton. A red card from Chalobah sort of affecting the game there, but Brighton doing beautifully. Crystal Palace, the only undefeated team left in the Premier League, defeating Liverpool 2-1. What a fantastic performance that was from Palace. Leeds United 2, Bournemouth 2. Bournemouth becoming the first team to score any goals at Ellen Road this season. Manchester City 5, Burnley 1. Nottingham Forest 0, Sunderland 1. Sunderland's excellent start to the season continues. Nottingham Forest's poor start continues. Tottenham Hotspur quite lucky to squeeze a draw, 1-1 against Wolves. Wolves pick up their first point of the season. On to Sunday, Aston Villa finally found their scoring boots, winning 3-1 against Fulham, who will feel aggrieved they didn't get at least one penalty. Newcastle lost at home to Arsenal 2-1, 2 late set-piece goals. Who'd have thought it? And last night, you had Everton against West Ham. We'll start there quickly, very quickly. Nuno Espirito Santo hired as the new West Ham boss, taking over Graham Potter. I'm a big defender of Graham Potter, and I think that but it feels like the squad at West Ham would just never anything to do, like would never suit his tactics. But do you think that the West Ham squad would actually suit Nuno's style of football more?
I didn't hear you. Can you just repeat?
So I'll say that the squad at West Ham seems to suit more defensive football. They go through this transition of the David Moyes era of being defensively solid, not very attractive to watch, but good counter-attackers. They then hire a manager to try and be more aggressive, and it fails miserably, and they sack him, and then they have to reset and go with a more defensive coach again. And they seem to go with Nuno Espirito Santo. It seems like a good hire, but do you think this is just the cycle repeating itself, going defensive football, successful? Aggressive football, no, and then having to sort of go back and forth between that.
I think
the real question. Sorry, that's just my opinion, right?
No problem.
The question being: is this a good appointment for West Ham?
I think it is. Even if West Ham is a strange club, to be honest, we don't know how to place them on the at the scale of the Premier League. They are not a bottom team, but they are not a top team. They are capable of winning against really tough opponents, and the next week to lose against the 20th in the league. It's their squad. I don't think they are really quality. There are a lot of quality in the squad, but to have appointed Nuno Espirito Santo, it's a good idea following what he did on with Nottingham Forest.
Well, it seems like his reputation's restored after Nottingham Forest, right?
Yeah, because doing what he did with Nottingham needs a lot of praise, because it's extraordinary to bring them back to this level of performance. Now it will be interesting to see what he will do at West Ham.
Well, as you know, I have a trick that I can see the future occasionally, and I can see in the distance that next season West Ham will have a good season and Espirito Santo will be worshipped, and then the following season he'll be sacked because they're not playing attacking football.
So you don't think they will have a good season because it's just the sixth match day in the Premier League? So
I said I think this season. I think this will be a good season, but also I think.
Okay.
But it'll go back to, again, defensively solid in the transition. So you get players like Paquetá and Jared Bowen doing their thing, because that's what they did under David Moyes, right? Speaking of Espirito Santo, let's go to the guy who replaced him at Nottingham Forest. Ange Postecoglou, still no victories in 5 matches, so losing at home to Sunderland. That's a poor result. As excellent as Sunderland have been this season, Forest a little bit in trouble. Do we think that Postecoglou is actually going to survive until Christmas?
It's difficult to say, but
and again, this is with the asterisks of we know who the owner of Nottingham Forest is in Marinakis, who loves changing managers.
Yeah, like John Textor did at Lyon. So of course I know him, but The thing is that it seems to be complicated for Marinakis so far with these 4 games without winning.
It's five.
You
Five
can't
now.
5. Yeah, you can't be. I would say it's difficult. I thought that Unai Emery were going to be out of Aston Villa before Christmas, but now he will. I think he will not be the only one to be
I'm gonna
out.
start making a list of all the
Yeah,
all
but
the managers we think that are going to lose their job.
no,
I'll
it's
get a list for
difficult.
next week.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about disasters of managers currently. Man United losing at Brentford 3-1. Now, here's the thing. I haven't seen it. Brentford were very, very fortunate not to have a man sent off. No one's quite sure why he wasn't. Sort of a cross was put in from the right, and Bumo, looks like he's about to put the ball in the net, but he's pulled back by the defender in the box. It's a penalty, and a yellow card is shown. And of course, you expect a red card because he's the last man, and no attempt had been made to play the ball. But then the referee, PGMOL, said that he wasn't in control of the ball. But then, how often is a player in control of the ball if the ball is played through to him? Essentially, if they haven't touched it yet, then it's not going to be a red card. So again, no one can sort of make sense of that. But then, which was the kind of crazy thing, but the time it took between the penalty being awarded and Bruno Fernandes taking the penalty was 4.5 minutes, and then substitutes were made for Brentford. So if it was deliberate, that might have been wonderful tactics to put him off further.
Yeah.
But Fernandes missed his second penalty of the season. Yeah, but no, that was the caveat. But apart from that, Brentford were excellent. Were they? They deserved the victory, regardless of the lucky red card call.
Yeah. We talked about managers minutes ago, but can we talk, because of course when you talk about Manchester United, you will talk about Ruben Amorim and his record and everything. But against Brentford, can we talk about the defensive performance? Because when you look at the 3 goals, not only the first or the second or the Bayindir, I didn't understand what Bayindir did on the third goal. But even on the first, even on the first 2 goals, it's impossible to be trapped like that on 2 long balls.
Jordan Henderson with another long-range assist as well, we should point out. We thought he wasn't going to make any difference for Brentford, but he seems to actually fit in there brilliantly.
And the first goal from Igor Thiago was just brutal. The power he put in the strike, exceptional. But yeah, the defensive performance of Manchester United, please. I have I think about Sean as a Manchester United fan.
I do, and it amuses me.
It's difficult for him, but as you said, Brentford, they really deserved that win. It's not stolen, it's not a robbery, it's not. They just deserve it. Yeah.
Again, with slightly fortunate to not have a man sent off, but also rather had that happen and Man United won. Basically, Man United seem to only defeat teams when they've had a red card.
They were 2-1 up when the penalty occurred. Yeah.
But also, again, we should point out Kelleher did save the penalty, right? So, and also that's now 4 saves from the 7 penalties he's faced. So he's got an excellent record. Hey, you know what? Talking about managers in a 3-4-3 system, we go from one that can't in Amorim, and we're going to go to Oliver Glasner at Crystal Palace. There's a 3-4-3 system. Crystal Palace 2, Liverpool 1. Palace's unbeaten run, 18 matches. That includes 3 matches against Liverpool, and they beat them twice. They beat Manchester City. They drawn away at Chelsea and Arsenal. What a team! What a collective! Oliver Glasner is doing such a good job.
Yeah, and they will have the occasion to make the 3-on-3 because they will meet Liverpool in the Carabao Cup. I saw the draw yesterday, so it will be interesting to watch. But when you look at that game, you can see the goals and the fact that Crystal Palace won, and it was deserved. But I wanted to have a word on Dean Anderson and Allison because they made some real good saves.
Especially
Both,
Allison. I mean,
yeah,
it's not an
Allison,
exaggeration to say Palace could have been 4 goals up in
yeah,
20 minutes.
yeah,
It was genuinely that dominant a performance.
yeah, and yeah, it was also a poor defending performance on the second Palace goal. I don't know who was it? It was oh, forget his name. Jeremy Frimpong. What was he thinking?
Yeah. Well, we know that Frimpong is much more of an attacking fullback. He's
Yeah,
more of a wing
and
back than a fullback. But
when you look at his movement, you'd see that he wants to go and try to have the final occasion of the game. But just think about defending first, because there is Nketiah behind you and he's alone. So even if it's
sorry.
red goal,
Liverpool
yeah.
people complaining about Liverpool's right back not being defensively able. I'm getting flashbacks.
I don't know what you who you are talking about, but
Anyway,
but yeah,
Palace, thoroughly deserved.
very.
I mean, they're such an exciting and fun team. And one of the great things is they don't seem to change home or away. They seem to be teams seem to struggle to pick up their system, regardless of whether it's home or away. It's great fun. Looking at some of the other teams, Chelsea lost for the second time in a row, but 2 red cards in 2 weeks as well. So last week they got Sanchez got an early red card, which kind of ruined that game against Manchester United. And this time around, they were winning 1-0 until Chalobah got a straight red for pulling back. Was it Welbeck he pulled back? I forget who he pulled back, but a straight red for being the last man. And then 2 goals from Welbeck as well. Goal.
It was the week for the former Arsenal strikers.
Yes. Well, and also just more former Manchester United players doing well, eh?
Yeah.
Also, excellent result for Brighton. Excellent result. Looking at Leeds United 2, Bournemouth 2. That's another good point for Leeds. I was going to say quick word on Manchester City 5, Burnley 1. Man City, I mean, they tend to bully the newly promoted sides, but I wanted to have a quick word on Burnley because so Burnley, look at the bottom of the table. You have Wolverhampton Wanderers on 1 point, West Ham on 3, Burnley on 4, Nottingham Forest on 5. Then you got Villa and Newcastle on 6, but that seems to be a bit of a false position. So you start to think, okay, those bottom 4 could be the teams that really fight for the relegation spot. But Burnley, they've picked up 4 points, and their away matches have been Tottenham Hotspur, Manchester United, Manchester City, and they've also had a home match against Liverpool. So the fact that they've got 4 points is actually that's a hard set of fixtures.
Yeah, it's not bad, and they got good forward with Maxime Esteve, I think. He scored a brace this weekend.
Brace of own goals, yes.
No, but yeah, as you said, they played a lot of good teams, top teams from the league so far. So yeah, having 4 points, it's not something so bad for them.
It's nothing to worry about for Burnley yet. Although, as we said, sort of West Ham and Nottingham Forest, perhaps things to worry about. Looking at the top of the table quickly, Liverpool is still top, 15, Arsenal on 13, Crystal Palace on 12, the only undefeated team left. I'm partially surprised to see Tottenham Hotspur there because they've had a couple of underwhelming performances, but they seem to still gather, like they were lucky to draw 1-1 at home to Wolves, which is a poor result. But also, this is a new tactical system under Thomas Frank, and they are 4th. They seem to be doing just enough to stay in it.
Yeah, and what made me laughing about that game it was the Palinha take off his shot for a goal against Wolves at home. Please, it's okay. I can understand the excitement of scoring at the very last second, but it's fun. The image is really funny.
Was it Matt Slater? No, not Matt Slater. Someone made the point on the Totally Football Show. Similar thing. But like, hey, you've just equalised. Get the ball. Go back to the middle. You've still got a couple of minutes. Go and win the game. It's like,
it was just too funny to see that.
Yeah. Yes, like I said, beneath Spurs in 5th, you've got Sunderland. Sunderland and Bournemouth on 11 points as well. So a refreshing look to the Premier League. The fact that you've got some big teams really stuttering at the start of the season, and you've got some surprise teams up there like Palace and Bournemouth, but also Sunderland, sort of really getting out of the blocks quickly in the league. I don't know if you remember a few years ago when Blackpool were in the Premier League. They had an astonishing start to the season. They beat Manchester United 3-2. They had some great high-scoring games, but then they only picked up like 6 points in the entire second half of the season and ended up getting relegated on the last day.
Yeah.
So, like, do you think this could be one of those things where Sunderland accumulate enough points early on to actually avoid? Because it could be one of those that they get found out. But also, like, this is based on a good defense, and good defenses tend to help new teams come up, right? Like, they tend to survive if their defense is solid, as opposed to being good attackers.
Yeah. I think the thing is that how do you know how many points in general you need to earn to win the
So
Euro?
so here's the thing. It used to be the long held belief that if you got 40 points,
Yeah.
that'd be enough, because that's
Okay.
only ever happened once where someone got 40 points and was relegated. Thing is, that's completely changed in the last sort of 10 years, and now it's more like 25, 26 along that line. So yeah, but again, this has been altered because the last couple of years, the promoted sides that have gone straight back down have been like historically bad as a collective. So I think like these three already have got like a third of the points that the teams did last year already after 6 matches.
Yeah, I remember Southampton being awful last season, for example.
They were so close to the record, close to Derby's record.
But yeah, you need, I think, to stay in the league, they will need to earn points with their defensive performances, because if you can't, as we said, if you can't score, just know how to not concede, and it will be one of the it is one of the key points for a team who want to avoid relegation. So yeah, if you look at the statistics, Aston Villa, we talked about them because they are only 6 points, but they just conceded 6 goals compared to West Ham, already 14th, and Burnley and Wolves 13th. So I don't think Aston Villa will be one to watch for the relegation battle. But if I had to put a coin on something, I would say West Ham will stay in the Premier League, and Forest will be dropped, in my opinion. And Leeds will stay also.
This is what leads me to my next question. Before we go, because we've reached our hour, having a quick look at, we're going to say, like, because next week is the last set of fixtures before the international break. So as again, we're expecting more managerial casualties, and they've been a surprising number already, has to be said. And I was going to quickly go through the leagues and ask you, like, hey, who do you think's gonna? Which teams do you think are most likely to pull the trigger, so to speak? Although that's probably a poor use of phrase, considering, well, just general gun crime in the States. In the Bundesliga, I mean, there's really only one candidate, and that's Mönchengladbach, winless, only 2 points. They're sort of circling the drain. Serie A, Torino and Fiorentina are the 2 big teams down there. Lazio were at risk, but now they've got 2 wins under the belt. So yeah, in Serie A, between Lazio, Torino, Fiorentina, who do you think is most likely to roll the dice at this early stage?
I think Lazio, it will be complicated. I don't have their next matches. Can you tell me their next matches, please?
No, I can't. So we're going to keep going.
Okay. I don't.
My instinct says Fiorentina because I think they've got a new manager in when they replaced Italiani. Was it
Italiani, Vincenzo Italiano. Sorry.
Yeah, I think they replaced him when he moved elsewhere, and I can't remember who they replaced him with, but yeah, I think Fiorentina might have to roll the dice there. Ligue, there's actually no one major underperforming because you got Le Havre, Nantes, Angers, and Metz at the bottom. But La Liga and the Premier League, this is where the fun starts. So La Liga, you got Girona at the bottom. You've also got Real Sociedad just out of the relegation spots. Do you think both of those are likely to ask for change, because it doesn't seem like either of them are generating any momentum.
I think for Girona is something they need to. They are just 3 points bottom of the league. They absolutely need to make some changes if they want to avoid something really bad, because I don't think they were starting the season thinking about the the relegation battle, but now they are in, and they will absolutely, they're winless after 7 games. So yeah, they need to change something, and I think the first thing to change is obviously the manager Mitchell, even if he did incredible things with these teams, bringing them to the Champions League.
That was
It's
2 seasons ago now. Last
yeah,
season was a poor
yeah,
season,
of
and they
course.
don't seem to have heeded the warnings.
Yeah. Thank you, Mitchell, for everything you have done for Girona, and knowing the City Football Group a little,
Yeah, I was going to
you
say, like,
can,
with that, does that help, considering they usually have like a database of managers that they would like to work with? Like
yeah,
Postecoglou was in that database when he was in Japan and Australia, right?
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think Mitchell will not no longer be the coach for Girona after
Yeah.
this October
Yeah, I've got to
month.
agree with you. Maybe Real Sociedad have even more time. They've had a tough start fixture-wise, but still. I've only just
Yeah.
noticed the comments. Apologies. Someone's asking when we were talking about Harry Kane, makes the point that Thomas Frank said he'd love Kane back at Tottenham Hotspur, but admits that it's unlikely. Yes, I mean, I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? It's slightly unlikely. But then he also said Kane to Man United would have been interesting. And all I can say is, right, speaking of that, let's go to the Premier League. So at the bottom of the Premier League, Wolves, unlikely to get rid of their manager. Vitor Pereira signed a contract extension 2 weeks ago. West Ham have just got rid of their manager. Burnley, Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, Newcastle United. In the whole Premier League, who do you think is the next manager on the chopping block?
I told you that I thought Unai Emery would maybe be released from Aston Villa, but he had a good week. He won in Europe. He won his first Premier League games so far. So yeah, we will see Nottingham Forest in the next weeks, but
the thing is,
it seems
it's still quite
difficult.
early for Postecoglou. You get the feeling that might be around the last international break. My money, I'm not a betting man, but my money, Pedro should be here. My money is on Ruben Amorim. I mean, we have to just, like, don't get wrong, it's so funny seeing Man United this bad. But also, it's kind of, there's a point where the joke stops being funny. Like, this is torturous, actually.
Yeah, this is sad for a club like.
And I made the point a couple of weeks ago that Amarin's next 3 fixtures were at home to Chelsea, away to Brentford, and at home to Sunderland. And then there's the international break, and then they're away to Liverpool. And in that time, they beat Chelsea 2-1 at home, but that's largely down to the red card, and they almost threw it away. They just lost at Brentford. So basically, home match against Sunderland. If they don't win that, I suppose it's
if they don't win,
how can you? I mean, personally, I think it's the point of no return. His win percentage is just as bad as Graham Potter's, and that's West Ham, not Man United.
Yeah,
you know.
I think you're right by saying if he lose to Sunderland next week, he will.
Yeah,
he will be fired, or he will resign by
it seems like
himself.
he's having such a bad time. Like he's always hunched over and like, get out of there, man. But also, this is now turning into a bit of discussion. Do you think part of the reason why he's been kept on that long is because of just how hard the new ownership have gone for Amorim? So, like the fact that they've bought all these players that can only play in a 3-4-3, and so they have to go down that route, and they can't admit that they've made a huge mistake, right? But then they did the same with Ten Hag. They gave him a new contract and then immediately regretted it.
Yeah. That's the problem with Manchester United these past years, overpaying players, making strange decisions. Now, if they want to fire Amorim, they will have to pay a lot. And I just think about the poor employees who will not eat their
Those free
snack.
lunches, yeah.
Yeah.
At least
So
they get fruit now.
yeah, oh, that's important for them to eat 5 fruits and vegetables in a day. So it's good now. But United, it's sad to see our club as prestigious as them to struggle that much.
Well, my last prediction before we end, yeah, like I say, I think Amorim is the next to go. And personally, I think now more and more people are being aware that it's a bit of a poison chalice. So I've got a strange prediction. I think Graham Potter might be the interim manager. He's a manager that could play through it at the back.
Yeah, and he will be fired in 2 months, and then they will hire, I don't know, maybe.
Well, I mean, the obvious choice for three at the back, they try and go for Oliver Glasner, right? But I suppose the big question is, apart from monetary value, why would Glasner leave Crystal Palace at this exact moment when Palace are in Europe and Man United are not?
Yeah, and to go to Manchester United, which is quite a mess for every manager.
Yeah,
now.
again and again. I know. I make a lot of jokes about Man United, but again, it's a prestigious club and you could be the manager that turns it around. And actually, the bar's so low that basically any success is, a win. So it's actually technically the safest you'll ever be taking the job, but also the evidence is in front of us, right? Players that go there lose value. Young players that go there lose value, and then playing time, and then we've seen basically every player that's left Man United in the last couple of seasons has benefited from leaving. Yeah, it's a big thing. We have
Hello,
to end
Marcus
there.
Rashford.
That's a whole other podcast and live stream. So thank you everybody for watching and watching live, watching us after the facts. Thank you for following us on social medias. Make sure you do that, blah, blah, blah. And next week, well, actually, we might be back later in the week to round up the Champions League and Europa League matches. Next week, we'll be back discussing the last matches before the international break. And we're going to make a proper list of managerial stuff. And we'll make that an actual thing. And also, by that point, half of them might have lost the job anyway. All right. Thank you so much, Leo.
Thank you, Daniel. See you on.
Hey, everybody.
See you on next weekend. Goodbye. Thanks.
There are everyone.